Dr. Ignatius Kibe is with us this morning, and we get to the conversation. And you know, it's about the cold weather. Yes, it is all cold. And, you know, health-wise, we understand that lots of adjustments are made at this very moment. And we also understand that, you know, such moments would come with a lot of you know, conditions that need to be managed somehow. The good thing is that they have been managed before, and therefore, you know, somehow we have derived mechanisms of how we get to deal with the cold season and the difficulties that come along with that. Yes, you'd tell me he's a gynecologist, but you know what? He handles all this across, and especially when it's on the question of general health. So we get into this conversation just getting to understand what are some of the things that we need to do in this cold season, what adjustments, health adjustments for that matter, we need to make in this cold season so that we are able to come out of it all healthy. Dr. Thank you so much for creating time. It is that moment where people are staying indoors.
Yes, it is. Out there in the so-called Western countries, developed countries, they have 4 seasons. Here, I don't know how many we have.
Right.
Basically,
It's
2.
not clear.
But when winter comes, they change everything in the kitchen. They change things that they wear. That's why we have mitumba here. They change shoes, and sometimes I find our girls wearing boots that are worn in winter.
Okay. So these are attires for their seasons that have been...
They are sold out or thrown away into the dustbins.
Yeah.
And our people collect them and come to sell them
as mitumba.
Yeah, as mitumba. We used to call them Marehemu George, because we don't know who owned the heavy gumboots that our people wear even when it is very hot. So this is a season, like you've put it, rightly put it, when people are basically quite often indoors. Why? Because it is cold out there. They used to go and bask in the sun or walk in the sun or probably stroll around in the sun, go to the park and enjoy themselves. But when it is this cold, chilly, everything changes. They are not able to go and bask in the sun. So where do they stay? Indoors. Indoors doing what? Many things, including procreation.
Yes, very important.
Including, by the way, Linda, by April, May, tuseme kutoka March, April, May next year, there will be a baby boom.
2023. They'll be born.
Oh, yes. People
Because
are indoors.
The moment is here.
The moment is there. There is a lot of love. And of course, along with love, people quarrel. Because they have not been used to being together. In the room, daytime and nighttime, because of cold. Even these days, those of us who go imbibing or taking a few frothy ones, it may be too cold for us, so we go home earlier.
Okay.
We have to change our dresses. People must wear better clothes. So there'll be the very first effect will be more sex.
Yeah.
During this weather.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
But okay.
We'll have a baby boom by April, May, March, April, May next year, 2023.
Yeah.
With a new government, of course, by then. Now, the other thing that is happening is there is very little circulation of air. There are no, currents of warm air. And that means people are crowding together indoors and breathing the same air over and over, recycling air. So if somebody, for example, if somebody is living with somebody else who has pneumonia, he'll sneeze and he'll cough and do all sorts of things about the upper respiratory tract. So there'll be a lot of pneumonia which is being circulated within the family. Be careful. Open windows.
Okay.
Suppose this person is not just pneumonia, but also probably has TB. Let's just imagine. And people don't forget, you know, TB is still there in a big way. And don't ever imagine that it belongs to them, not to me.
They will come home.
You're coming in a matatu, you're coming in a bus, you're coming in a taxi, and there are people in the same bus with you. And because of the cold, all windows in the matatu are closed. So what is happening in that matatu? People are recirculating, recycling the air. So it's not a gainsay, it's not a small thing that you called me for this morning, because there will be a lot of TB. Tuberculosis will rise dramatically during cold weather. People must do something. You know, I realize sometimes you go in a matatu and you find Linda there with her beautiful hairdo. And so she keeps closing the door and closing the windows.
So there's no circulation.
And so there is no circulation. And there, you cannot select who goes into the matatu or not. So there is TB, pneumonia. There is even a worse condition called pneumonitis, which is allergic. Thirdly, we shall have a lot of skin allergies.
Is it?
Dermatitis, eczema.
In relation to the cold?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. People, especially you guys, who wear a lot of cosmetics and who wear steroidal. Find the people going and buying steroidal creams that are supposed to be therapeutic. They are supposed to be prescribed by a doctor, because most of them are harmful, very harmful. Anything with the B, which is betamethasone. Anything, any drug, any cream adding with a B at the end, it means it contains a steroid, betamethasone. Wait until it's cold, very cold, and your skin will start peeling off because of the cold.
Okay.
And because the weather is not conducive for the cream that you'll have applied. And mind you, these creams adding with B, watch, look at your cream. Does it have betamethasone? You know, people think the name of the drug is what is in bold letter. No. The name of a drug is the generic name or the chemical name, which is immediately below, and it has the component, like she calls it, ingredients, the active ingredients. And if you realize that you are taking a B, a betamethasone, or a H, a hydrocortisone, or diprosone, diprosalix, be very careful this season.
Doctor, there are people who have been into these creams for a long time, and therefore some without knowing, like you say. So probably they rush to check on their cream right now and they realize that this component is there. How safe is it to stop?
It has to be treated downwards. That means you cannot, on your marks, get set, stop
Go.
it. If you stop it like that, you'll immediately get maps. A map of Australia here, a map of Canada there, a map of Kenya here, and you'll find some women in the streets and in doctors' rooms seeking how to remove the maps, which they themselves, I don't know who told them that fair skin or creamish, or what do you call it, pinkish. When we were out there, we used to call them pigs, you know, mzungus, with the skin that is very weak and becomes cancerous at the slightest ultraviolet light. So I don't know who says the lighter the skin, the more beautiful you are. No, it doesn't work. No, not at all.
Don't you
like guys, you don't know. I laugh at women who think men go for light skin, who think the whiter you are, the better you are. No, we look for other things. We look at the heart, we look at your hard work, we look at
you know, you speak as if we're
motherhood.
not living in this very same earth. We are also
No, you'll
here.
find, yes.
We see what you look for.
Oh, yes, we do that, but only hiyo ni ya kukula, sio ya kuweka.
Oh, so ya kuweka mnatafuta deep, you get deep into
ukienda
it.
kununua mbuzi, when you go to buy a he-goat for Christmas or for Easter or for a party in the house, we don't check it that
Step
much.
one, you look at how big, how beautiful, how white, how clean, Dr. You do.
Yeah.
Before you decide now, this we can keep.
No, it's the color. The color. We are not interested in the color. They say in Greek, where I come from, that a goat, which I'm going to kuchinja, that I'm going to slaughter soon, you don't have to check whether it has teeth or not. Because after all, I'm going to eat it. But a goat to come and keep, you have to be very careful. So you'll find most of those, with due respect, most of those girls with maps of Australia and the maps of Canada and Africa on their faces. Hawa ni sio mbuzi ya kuweka kwa nyumba.
Oh.
These are just for the night. What do you call it? A night stud.
That's how they say it. That's how they say it.
I'm not being vulgar. I'm
you
only
know, you
acting my age and my profession.
Well, we don't want to put the disclaimer. Watershed period or what? No, well, proceed.
It is because...
It is your profession, yeah.
Yes, I know dangers of corticosteroids. We call them corticosteroids. They are made from 17-pentanophenanthrin ring nucleus. For
Don't
those
get
who
us
know
lost.
chemistry.
Okay.
They are steroids. And they will eventually even destroy your kidneys. And they can be absorbed through the skin. So ukijimota asubuhi unajipaka layer upon layer. You go to some of these places. I'm not saying I'm a regular visitor. I'm only saying you'll find
that we will judge. If you go to what
you'll
places?
Find on that her dressing table is like a chemist shop with all the types of betamethasones and diprosones and hydrocortisones for her to become lighter skinned. It is dangerous.
So it's important to look at these products before you buy them, because that's
very, very important. And if
do your research.
If you notice that when I leave it for 2 days, I get marks on my face, go see a doctor. Go see a dermatologist, because it means it has penetrated the top layer of your skin and is now under the where we make cells under the skin. It is also acting on those premature or the cells in formation. The process called keratinization. You said I should not be too scientific, but it's very important. And people know there is keratin, which makes a man black, a woman black, and hardened, more hardened. So when you see somebody is lighter, and they will become lighter during this weather, and simultaneously, the weather will also take care of, will also bring those burns. So people,
during this cold weather.
During this cold weather. I want to talk about the third issue, which is quite important. This is upper respiratory tract infection. In fact, including also the lower respiratory tract infections. I am not sure, but I think COVID, as of this morning, has gone past 5%. It's shooting up. It's going up. And the more you crowd together, especially in rallies, especially in the house, you find, very unfortunately, you find sometimes our young men have to hire one room, and there are 10 of them, and they are squeezing into that room because of the economic, because they want to go and look for food the following day. So they lay down mattresses and the substances, they sleep, many of them. And unfortunately, because of cold weather, they lock their windows and doors. So you have 10 people in a room, 10 by 10. And one of them comes home with COVID. So what will happen? it will catch all these 10 people sleeping in one room.
Yeah.
I said COVID is climbing up. It is now at 5%. At its worst, we went only probably to 30%. Now 5% is quite a big population. So we might sooner than later be forced to again be wearing the masks. In fact, in many countries, including China, where it came from, they are wearing masks. They are back there to square one.
Yeah.
In America, where they died in the thousands, they are also wearing masks again. So this will be worse during cold weather. Cold weather is not very much welcome. Whereas it is possible to protect oneself from the sun, probably with an umbrella, probably staying under a shade or in a room, or even probably using air cons and all. Cold weather is bad.
Yeah.
The other thing about cold weather, did I say about eczema? You find small babies, neonates, watoto watakaozaliwa kwa mwezi huu na mwezi ujao wa Julai, wengi wao wanapata magonjwa. Many of the neonates, the newly borns, babies, they will come down with blocked chests. They cannot breathe. They cannot perspire properly. They have to be guided. They have to be kept very warm. And because of these several towels and warm clothes, again, there is a side effect. We have, like I said, certain diseases, some of them brought by the parents, like streptococcus, like staphylococcus. They are there, and they infect these neonates and young babies. So you people who have babies, you better watch out. Don't over cover. Don't cover too much.
Okay.
But at the same time, be very careful. Ukitoka mahali umetoka kwa kazi. When you come from work, watch out, clean yourself. If you are, remember, if you are breastfeeding, for example, and you know you have come home with a flu, or they call it in Europe, because they make hay around that time, they call it hay fever. Here we don't, it's now that we are starting to make hay at commercial levels or rates. But this hay fever and rhinitis, they call it, rhinitis from rhinology. This is the upper respiratory tract infections with the streptococcus, like we said, the staphylococcus. Sometimes viruses, like influenza virus, whereas the babies should be vaccinated against these upper respiratory tract diseases. It's very important to know that. When you come home, and I've also seen some men come home and he's excited about his newly born baby boy or baby girl, and he goes to the cot. On one hand, he's smoking, and the other hand is playing around with the
baby.
It's very dangerous.
Doctor, you hold it right there. And I mean, I'd love for us to understand that, because most of the mothers with newborns struggle with this. They really can't quite tell what's the right temperature, whether this is too much clothing, whether this is not. And so we take a quick break. Remember, we're just trying to highlight some of the conditions that you are likely to struggle with at this moment where, there's so much cold. It's a cold weather season, and it is important that you are careful. Most important, Dr. will be here to speak of these, conditions that is highlighting, and also give us remedies to it and ways we'd be able to balance this, because like it or not, the cold season is here with us. Like it or not, these conditions we are likely to suffer from. But there's always a way to make it mild or to minimize it or mitigate. Yes, after this break.
Disabled or able-bodied, we all have the power and responsibility to make society more inclusive for each and everyone. From experiences to listening to the disability community, we provide a platform where we interact with disabled individuals with the sole purpose of shedding light on their situation from a positive perspective.
Nilizaliwa bila mikono miwili. Hivyo nilijipata katika maisha. And I'm happy for that.
People are giving a lot of chances to people who are disabled people.
Join Muthoni Maina as she delves deeper this Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
We celebrate disability, an inclusive world and education. We need to know such persons can go beyond the limit.
Fine latte was that?
Mr. Black Pepper, what's good?
Astounding Rastam Tani. How are you, man?
That is simping, bro. These men have no substance. Bro, you need an apology for that.
You mean like we should give flowers to the girls?
Let's meet up 10 p.m. I'll do what I do best. Put a spice on it. We need to teach these men how to be alphas.
Then we need a conference.
So let's get it.
Welcome to the Men's Conference,
where men become alpha males.
Attitudes towards agriculture are already changing. The trend is steadily growing as the support for the agriculture sector is increasing by the day. The list of reasons is endless. That is why every week we visit a variety of farms in different counties to understand their journey in farming. We get informative perspectives and in-depth information that will help you kickstart your journey at the farm.
One goose in a way kutoka 4 kgs to 8 kgs.
You cannot do any farming without you knowing how your soil is.
Sandra Wahito embarks on this informative quest. Join her this and every Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
Tunaangazia viunganishi, ndio mada ambayo tunajikita kwayo siku ya leo.
Tutakuwa tukifanya yale mambo ambayo mmekwisha kuyafanya pale darasani na mwalimu.
Nipate sentensi nyingine kutoka kwenu. Pale pana mkono.
Jina naitwa Franklin Ndono. Na nitatunga sentensi.
Sisi tumecheza, sisi hatujacheza.
Bibi naye amekula chumvi nyingi. Nini maana ya kula chumvi nyingi?
Kula chumvi ni kuwa mzee.
Tumpigieni makofi.
With us, pinpointing some of these ones that could be complications that would come along with the cold weather. And then later on, before we sum it up, he will be giving us forms of treatment, if not treatment, forms of managing the same. He has touched on, the aspect of COVID-19. He has as well touched on the aspect of, eczema, skin conditions that would come along with this, the allergies that would come along with the same, the chest infections that would crop up because of the cold season, and there's still so much more to touch on, Dr. Our eyes, our ears are open to listen to you.
Thank you very much. Now you provoked me when you said you talked about allergies, and then it reminds me, one of the biggest problems in especially people who live in colder places is asthma. It's an allergic reaction. And tell you what, it is chronic. Asthma will not leave you. Asthma, whereas we have drugs that probably help, but I'm urging all governments, county governments, because right now, although I don't know whether we have governors out there or they have gone looking for greener pastures or they are campaigning here and there, but you ministers, you are still there. The executives, make sure in all your counties there is sufficient medicine for asthma this season. If you go and check in your pharmacy stores, county government pharmacy stores, if you don't have dawa za asthma, please stock.
Okay.
Because asthma is allergic. And there are people who even are allergic to water, are allergic to cold air. You see, it's just like when you go to a bathroom and you go and shower, open a shower of cold water, and you see when you do that, and the cold water falls onto or sprays onto your shoulders and head and ears, you shiver. There is a reaction. There is an immediate reaction. And by the way, it's very good to shower in cold water.
Is it?
But the reaction, have you ever placed a baby or a young child into cold water in a karai?
Yes.
And you see the reaction and even crying. So that's the same thing that happens to asthmatic patients. When you gush, when there is a gush of cold air, don't wake up at night, you people who have asthmatic conditions. When you wake up in the middle of the night or later, say 3 a.m., and you breathe in cold air, it goes and tickles the lung, and once the lung receives the cold, it reacts and sends certain hormones in the body, and it is very easy to get constrictions of the bronchi, the airways, the pipes, so to call them in layman's language, up to the alveoli. And there is an immediate reaction. There is an immediate release of something we call cortisol and several other hormones in the body. And so, asthmatics, please, it's time to stay warm and avoid waking up after midnight onto mornings during the cold weather, because you'll definitely get an attack. And if you get an attack and the governor has gone and his minister has also gone to become an MCA or an MP, and there is no adrenaline and there is no you used to call it F for Frano, or whatever formula it will be, and there is no solving S, bromohexine, to open up the place, then there will be trouble for you. And this is the time that very many people with conditions of the chest infections, chest diseases, bronchoconstrictions and bronchodilators, you must have these drugs with you. Please go again. I'm calling upon you. Go to the KEMSA. Does it still exist?
Well,
go to KEMSA or wherever it is.
About it today.
And make sure that you have those antihistamines. You have bronchodilators. You even should stock as many antibiotics for upper respiratory tract as possible. Many antibiotics. Because sometimes you try with one azithromycin and it's not working. So probably it's time to change to another one, because it also behoves on you to know that drugs and even the cough can be resistant to certain antibiotics. The invading microorganism, the pathogen, could be destroying the person and could be resistant to what you have kept. So you have them in therapy form, you have them in injection form, you have them in tablet form, and even what we call sprays to the throat and to the nose, and you can easily, you must have, like we say, the steroidal sprays this is just bronchodilation. We want the bronchi to expand, because the gush of cold air has made the bronchi to shrink and to constrict. So what we do is make sure you have bronchodilators in any form, inhalations and other methods. And stay warm. I'm repeating it for the third time, and I'll keep repeating it for as long as Linda is in front of me and we are discussing the cold weather.
Stay warm.
Stay warm. Don't crouch together. Don't crouch together. Don't, for example, up country, because of cold weather, people will tend to go and, warm themselves by the fireside. When they are warming themselves by the fireside, what happens is the firewood itself produces smoke. Some of the smoke has chemicals that will provoke reactions.
Yeah.
So be careful when you warm yourself by the fireside. What are you breathing in? Ni kuni aina gani unatumia? Ni makana aina gani unatumia? And also remember, we have had what we call carbon monoxide poisoning, where some people, because of the cold weather, they sleep and they place a jiko.
A jiko inside. That's dangerous.
In your room. You end up with carbon monoxide poisoning, and the death is sweet. You don't even know you are dying. You die slowly, nicely, smiling. So don't keep jikos. Do not stay in the the room with the fire, and don't keep jikos in your bedroom. Ati kujiwarm. Apana. Mukimalizana na jiko, ukimalizana na kukaa jikoni, we enda rumu ingine. Na hii jiko weka nje mbali. In fact, in Europe, we have people who think the car is warm. So they go to a garage, and their garages quite often are like small rooms. Here I wonder, you have a car worth 2 million shillings. Inalala nje, na sofa set ya 20,000 shillings inafungiwa na kifuri. Sasa unauliza, gari ya milioni nyingi inakaa nje. Sofa set na dining set inafungiwa na kufuri 3.
Ikikaa nje kinyeshewa watu watakalia nini?
Sasa the problem is probably if you can afford
we need to rethink
rethink the plans, because there are also very many car thieves these days. They pluck off things. But I was going to say something. Ukifika nyumbani, when you reach home and the car seems it's warmer, and you leave the engine on and you stay on inside, and start taking phone calls, in the car, you'll get again poisoning.
Is it?
The car, the exhaust. If you only,
that's my take home today, by the way. I do that a lot.
If you go and if you wanted the easiest suicide, when the car is running, put your nose and mouth next to the exhaust. You breathe in twice, you are gone. It's, like I said, it's a sweet death. So you don't know that you are dying, because the hemoglobin of the blood connects with the carbon monoxide, and you get carbon monoxide poisoning. And you die softly, nicely, smiling. So in Europe, that's what the story was. They stay in the car, the engine is still running, you are feeling warm, you are answering your phone call, kumbe you are poisoning yourself. And this can be very dangerous in cold weather. Get out of that car. Probably it's time that you invested a little money in probably a room heater or something. If you can afford a car.
Heaters are good, by the way. Let me ask that, because people are getting into that, and
yes,
sometimes you feel nauseated because it's a bit too
it depends on how you place it, how it is, its quality, of course.
Yes.
There was a time when people were shouting that heaters can cause cancer, and even food warmers, and I don't know, microwaves.
It's not true?
But I think over the years, the standards have been maintained. There are many organizations like WHO that make sure that they give a standard of a microwave, and they check what type of material is being used to make the microwave. So these days, most of the electricals are safe. Whereas when we say that, we are not encouraging that you warm yourself everywhere, or you keep the heater, the room heater, under your bed. Be careful where you keep it, far away from your bed. Let the room be heated, and whatever the situation. And I think this also goes to architects and the people who make houses. Keep doors and windows open as much as possible. Get fresh air. Fresh air is medicinal. Fresh air has oxygen, and oxygen is #1 medicine. And even new medics, we said you should restock. In every sub-county hospital, there should be sufficient of oxygen. Oxygen is drug #1 for COVID, and for is not oxygen should not be counted along with the equipment. Oxygen is a drug, and it is listed in the WHO essential drug list as a medicine.
Dr. I don't want to disrupt your line of thought, and that's why I'm keeping silence so we can all pick these lessons. Perhaps a question. In this cold season, I have heard people saying that they're experiencing, joint pains. Sometimes you have their legs swelling, their body parts swelling. There are instances where maybe someone has hurt one of their body parts at some point in time. It's healed, but then during the cold seasons, they kind of feel pain, especially those ones that have had, like fractures, they've broken their legs before. So it is healed in totality, but during the cold season, then they say they are experiencing some bit of pain. What is that?
The connection between weather and, we call them autoimmune diseases.
Autoimmune diseases.
Autoimmune diseases like arthritis.
Okay.
Like even sometimes we include diabetes as an autoimmune inflammatory process. Autoimmune diseases. I want to ask you a question. When you go home next time, home not meaning Kariobangi or Runda, home Oshags.
Yes.
And you look at bananas, you'll find there is one banana leaf which is yellow. The whole banana is green and nice and productive. The whole avocado tree is big, green, and very productive with a lot of fruits. But you climb up to that tree and you find kuni. Some branches are completely dry. What is that? Why is it that a leaf of a very powerful and very strong and productive banana can become yellow and even wither and die? That is autoimmunity.
Okay.
The body has also certain genetic malformations which make a person autoimmune. That is, arthritis is autoimmune. And sometimes, like you say, it is affected by cold weather. Watu wa arthritis na joint pains na muscle pains, we call it musculoskeletal systems. They will have spasms, There'll be, sijui kama umeona ng'ombe imechinjwa na iko kichinjio na imekufa, lakini it is still twitching.
Yeah. I've seen that.
That is because of certain transmitters, we call them like acetylcholine, and they become numbified. They become numb during cold weather. So you find the body is reacting to cold weather in as far as transmission of impulses is concerned. Like you said, mtu ambaye ana kilema ya mifupa, pengine alikuwa na fracture, pengine in our place, most of them complain of the way they were beaten by colonialists.
Okay.
Those tissues are still painful, and they'll become worse during cold weather. So you better be careful. Wear socks. Stay warm. Let me tell you, now, I've been in this game of giving medicine for the last more than 45 years.
Wow.
I'm not as old as you think.
Okay. Pretty young.
For many, many years, this young man has given out medicine to millions of people. Now, the language is arthritis curable? Because there are people coming out with the mitishambas and what, and saying, yes, I'll cure it forever. Is asthma curable? Autoimmune diseases are not curable. They are chronic. We only manage them. We only manage your arthritis. And I want to give a warning here. As we manage our autoimmune diseases, including arthritis, there is a class of drugs that we call non-steroidal drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, we call them. Some of them are very dangerous. Some of them will be curing the pain, like there is some that are based on aceclofenac and diclofenac. Those drugs will cure the pain in the knee, but at the same time start ulcers, and the ulcers could even end up being cancerous. So during this season, there will be very many people prescribing. I don't know whether they read the inserts, even some of the clinicians. Do they read these inserts? Because they are giving time and again and very high doses of NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Be careful with the dosage. Akina ibuprofen. Akina, I almost mentioned it by name of the owner of the trademark. But diclofenacs, aceclofenacs, those drugs should be used with a lot of caution during this cold weather. Don't overdose, because it will have very many side effects, including blood dyscrasis. It will reduce the total HB level and can bring about ulcers. And we must be, in many countries, NSAIDs, they have been banned. The non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. And we are slowly moving towards what we call second generation or alternative medicines, where we are trying as much as possible to use natural methods. I don't know whether you know that the very famous drug, one of the most famous drugs, which is used for very many conditions and very, very important, aspirin. Aspirin is acetylsalicylic acid. Aspirin is very good for the heart, very good for blood circulation, very good for pain, but simultaneously it has its own side effect, and it is from a plant.
Okay.
You see, it is from the wintergreen variety of plants. So soon the world is moving towards, I don't want to call them herbs. I want to say alternative medicines. In many countries, including Europe today, including Asia, where you people go run to India for treatment, we now have degrees called Ayurvedic medical degrees, Ayurveda, where they are using food, the food that we eat, and they are using herbs that are standardized. The problem with our herbs is that they are not, we don't have a standard. We don't have a pharmacopoeia which will now describe, let this herb have so many leaves. You just take the leaves and they are placed in a mkebe or a 20-liter can, and you are told to take 2 glasses. How he reaches the 2 glasses per day, we don't know. So it behoves, it is your responsibility. I'm talking to you people. I'm talking to the Pharmacy and the Poisons Board. I'm talking to the University of Nairobi Department of Pharmacognosy, Faculty of Pharmacy. Pharmacognosy should now give us a standardized herbal pharmacopoeia. Okay. That when you are telling us use this, use that. These days we have people suggesting use, for example, I'm just giving an example, green tea as an anti-inflammatory and a detox. Which green tea? How much? What is the dosage? Okay. How many times? Because everything has side effects, including sometimes food can have side effects. It can be an anaphylactic reaction. It could be the dose was too high and the person remained awake the whole night because of the high dose of green tea. But
why do we still encourage them over the counter? It's very good. It's
very good. By the way, I don't know whether I'm jumping the gun, but what we said here during the height of COVID, we talked about a formula of mitigation against COVID. And we gave the formula of green tea plus something called turmeric. And turmeric is grown in Kenya, and in places like Tanzania, we are importing a lot of turmeric. Ginger, we are talking about sweeteners like cinnamon. We are talking about, they are good. I mean, they are good. They will scavenge the oxidative process ions in the body. They are good. They are medicinal. Curcumin in turmeric is known to be very useful.
You get them better when they are like literally raw, or these ones that have been processed?
If you can get them raw,
the better.
If you can get everything, even when you take, are you asking me whether I should say chips? Do chips,
potatoes.
Chips ni
waru.
viazi.
Ni waru.
Some people don't connect the chips
and waru.
And waru and viazi. But it is
viazi.
Worse type of viazi.
Okay.
It is the way they make it. Sometimes they put oils that are not healthy, and they put the oils in excess, and sometimes they even adulterate the cooking oil of viazi. So waru ni, kumbe waru ni viazi. So the same thing we are asking, is turmeric original and turmeric the powder? Is ginger original and ginger the root, the rhizome? Are they the same? Are they as good? I would go for the fresh and the rhizome, the root itself. Is like the other day I saw onions, red onions have been crushed into a powder. And they're using this to fry.
And then we're supposed to cook with that. That's
so
funny.
I'm insisting that when you eat a morning breakfast egg made with the original red onion, probably somebody ameweka piripiri kwa ubali namna hii kidogo, the original piripiri, and probably somebody has added dania kwa umbali, hapana, dania kwa wingi, and some tomatoes. By the way, tomatoes are very good.
Very good.
This is the direction people are moving to. And during this cold weather, I'm prescribing green tea plus turmeric plus ginger plus cinnamon plus all these things. By the way, they are even carrying this, our cinnamon, all our cinnamon and muarubaini, they are taking them to Europe.
That's true. That's really true. And this is free. No,
we are careless. We are not free. We are.
No, I'm saying the advice that you're giving us, you're prescribing for free.
For free, I'm giving, true.
As
absolutely.
we close,
It's good to know that green tea is A1. I'm not saying the black tea or the ordinary tea is any bad, but the processing of teas, this green one is more natural and has chemicals that will detoxify the body.
Let's not tell them everything, Dr. because time runs very fast. I wanted to ask about, the girls, the menses, their body formation, the adjustments, on the, what do we call this, the hormones when it's cold. But now time won't allow us. I hope we can have this conversation some other time. It's already 1 hour actually. So as we come to a close, yes, at 29, and we only have 1 minute to exit this space. Yes.
The 1 minute I'll use in once again calling upon our government to avoid these scandals we hear about drugs. Health.
I know.
Without good health, hata ukiuliza votes, sasa unauliza votes. And you are not talking about the health of the voter. Health should be given the highest priority. They say, according to the agreements with the United Nations, and Kenya has signed, 15% of the budget should always go to health. And very unfortunately, the last time I had it, we were at 6%. So let us look at health, and health starts even with the feeding, staying clean, maintaining green everywhere. Even the studio should become green. We should have some, probably some money trees and some snake plants all over to give us oxygen. We should have as many plants as possible. Let us take let us go to this cold weather, knowing that there will be diseases that will be that will increase, more particularly diseases of the skin, more particularly diseases of the respiratory tract, infectious diseases, and particularly for children under 5, they should be watched very closely. If you've not been home and you left your child with your mother, it's time to take a shawl or a pullover and probably a blanket.
There you go, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much.
Sana. Thank you as well for speaking to us this morning. It's always an honor having you. And in most cases, when you're around, there's so much feedback. You can always get a hold of Dr. Ari.
On 0722 53 4444.
Do not call.
Text. Do not call. Please text me, because calling interrupts what I'm doing. Do not call. Text on 0722 53 4444.
A gynecologist, Dr. Ignatius